not spend in the name of Allah. And Allah's the inheritance of the heavens and the earth. Not alike among you are those who spent before the victory and fought, and those who did not. They are more exalted in rank than those who spent and fought afterwards. And Allah has promised good to all, and Allah is aware of all that you do. Who is there that will offer Allah a good gift so that He will double it for him, and he shall have an excellent reward? On that day you will see the faithful men and the faithful women, their light running before them on their right hand. Good news for you today. Gardens beneath which river flows to abide therein. There is a grand achievement. On the day when the hypocritical man and the hypocritical woman will say to those who believe, wait for us, that we may have light from you, from your light. It shall be said, turn back and seek a light. Then separation would be brought upon them between them with a wall having a door in it. And as for the inside, there shall be mercy in it. And as for the outside, before shall be punishment. They will cry out to them, were we not with you? They shall say, yes. But you caused yourselves to fall into this temptation, and you waited and doubted, and vain desires deceived you till the threatened punishment of Allah came, while the arch deceivers deceived you about Allah. So today ransom shall not be accepted from you, nor from those who disbelieved. Your abode is the fire, it is your friend, and evil is the resort. Has not the time yet come for those who believe that their hearts should be humble for the remembrance of Allah, and what has come down of the truth, and that they should not be like those who were given the book before? But the time became prolonged to them, so their hearts hardened, and most of them became transgressors. Know that Allah gives life to the earth after it's dead. Indeed, we have made the communications clear to you that you may understand. Surely as for the charitable men and the charitable women, and those who set apart for Allah a goodly portion, it shall be doubled for them, and they should have a noble reward. And as for those who believe in Allah and His apostles, these are the truths and the faithful ones in sight of their Lord. They shall have the reward and their light. And as for those who disbelieve and reject our communications, there are the inmates of hell. Know that this world and this life is only a sport and play and gaiety, and boasting among yourselves and of vying in the manipulations of wealth and children. Like the rain whose causing the vegetations to grow pleases the husbandman, then it withers away so that it will see it become yellow. Then it becomes dried up and broken down. And in the hereafter is a severe chastisement and also forgiveness from Allah and His pleasures. And this world life is not but the means of deception. Hasten to forgiveness from your Lord, and to the garden, the extensiveness of which is as extensive of the heavens as it is for the earth. It is prepared for those who believe in Allah and His apostles. That is the grace of Allah. He gives it to whom He pleases, and Allah is the Lord of the mighty grace. No evil befalls on the earth, nor in your own souls, but it is in a book before we bring into our existence. Surely that is easy to Allah, so that you may not grieve for what has escaped you, nor be exultant at what He has given you. And Allah does not love any arrogant boaster. Those who are niggardly and enjoin niggardliness on men, and whoever turns back, then surely Allah is He who is self-sufficient, the praised. Certainly we sent our apostles with clear arguments and sent down with them the book and the balance, that men may conduct themselves with equity. And we have made the iron, wherein is great violence and advantages to men. And that Allah may know who surely helps Him and His apostles in the secret. Surely Allah is strong and mighty. And certainly we sent Nuh and Ibrahim, and we gave to them the offsprings the gift of the prophecy and the book. So there is among them those who go aright, and most of them are transgressors. Then we made our apostles to follow in their footsteps, and we sent Isa, son of Muharram, afterwards, and we gave him the Injil, and we put in the hearts of those who followed him kindness, and mercy. And as for monkery, they avoided it. We did not prescribe it to them, only to seek Allah's pleasure, but they did not observe it with the due observance. So we gave to those who believe their reward, and most of them are transgressors. O you who believe, be careful of your duty to Allah and believe in His apostles. He will give you two portions of His mercy and make for you a light which you will walk and forgive you. And Allah is the most forgiving, the most merciful. So that the followers of the book may know that they do not control aught of the grace of Allah, and that the grace is in Allah's hands. He gives it to whom He pleases, and Allah is the Lord of mighty grace. Salawat.
Thank you so much, brother, for the beautiful recitation of the translation of Surah Hadid. Really appreciate that. In the interest of time, we will cut short the salam, and inshallah, we will try to have Maulana up on the mimbar at 7:45 every day, so that we can end at appropriate time before Maghriban. With this, I would like to invite Maulana. Please come and take the pulpit. Please recite loud salawat for him. Can I request everyone to come and yes.
Hello. I think this is still not working. This is turned it on. Let me just try it again. Yes, it is on, but it's not working. Sure. Okay. Please read salawat for the brother who read Quran. It was beautiful recitation in terms of the English translation that he did. Sallallahu Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Very encouraging. And Surah Fatiha. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين واللعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين أما بعد. Allah says in Quran in chapter 3, ayat number 110. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrijat linnasi ta'muruna bil ma'rufi wa tanhauna 'anil munkar. Salawat. This is the ayat which is topic of our discussion, and we're just continuing it from yesterday. The beautiful, as I mentioned to you, ayat number 110. So what a number Allah Ta'ala chose for this ayat. Its meaning is that you are the best among nations, and the sign for you to be the best is that you do amr bil ma'ruf and nahi anil munkar. Now, let's understand these two terms. We will spend first few minutes in closing the chapter on Imam Hussein's ideology. So we will all understand in his own words, what his ideology was. And then we will move into the topic of Azadari as a system for us, a life system essentially, not for just us, but this entire world. So the meaning of Amr bil Maruf is, Maruf word comes from the root word, which is the same word that's used for Arif, for example, or Urafa or Irfan, the same root word, and tends to signify recognition. So it's not translated as good and evil as we're told, essentially. It is translated as something that is recognized as good. How is it recognized? By Quran and by Aql, two sources of recognition. And Quran pretty much covers most of the things that should be recognized as good. So when you promote that, when you enjoin that, when you instruct others and yourself on those things, that is Amr bil Maruf. Nahi anil munkar, again the word from inkar as in Urdu word, munkar, which is something that should be rejected. Rejection is also from two sources. Number one, Quran. Number two, Aql. And Quran covers almost everything. So things that should be rejected and prohibited, forbidden, is what Amr bil, what Nahi anil munkar is. Now you combine these two. Now those who enjoin good and promote good and forbid evil, these are the people who are deserve to be called the best nation in the world. Best nation that Allah has created. That's something very important to recognize. Now, if I tell you that I will say, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, would you doubt that Allah is your Rabb and Rabb of the Alameen? No. If I say Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, would you doubt that He is Rahman and Rahim? But when I tell you that same Quran, Allah is saying you're the best nation created, all of a sudden you start doubting it. You start saying, you know, when I wake up in the morning, I sometimes don't feel like I belong to the best nation created. Why is that? The same Quran is giving you, Allah is giving you that respect, that designation, and we're rejecting it. Who are we to reject it? But why? Ask yourself that why Allah is giving you that recognition, because He gives that condition. Allah gives that condition because you promote good and you stand against evil. That's the thing. That's what Imam Hussein's ideology is, in his own words. In Imam Hussein's own words. And this is what's known as his last will and testament. So Imam Hussain actually leaves records all the way from Medina, his own words and written letters, written instructions, all of that material is available. Tomorrow I'll bring a book and I will show it to you, which I believe that all of you should get. In Imam, I think its title is In Imam Hussein's Own Words, Journey from Medina to Karbala, something along those lines. I think every Shia family, and we have stopped reading books, but get back to reading books, and that's an amazing book because it describes everything that happened from Medina all the way to Karbala in his own words. So very, very good book. And Imam leaves his last will and testament. To who? To his brother, Muhammad bin Hanafiya. So I will read those words to you, Imam Hussein's own words, and that defines the ideology of Imam Hussain. He says, I am not doing this uprising to be a disruptor or a corrupt person or to be an oppressor. I am doing it, listen to this very carefully, his mission, he's describing his mission. I am doing it to reform the ummah of my grandfather. The word is reform. The perpetual responsibility of all of you. Reform. Reform yourself, reform the community, reform the world. That's the mission. That's Hussaini mission. How? Then he describes by Amr bil Maruf and Nahi Anil Munkar, which I just explained to you what that is. I promote good, Imam Hussain is saying, and I stand against evil. That's how I do it, and I will conduct reform of this ummah. And then he says, which is another very important point, beautiful words of Imam, because obviously he's writing his last will and testament. He knows what will happen. And he says, exactly as my Jad did, my ancestors did, my grandfather did, and my father, Ali ibn Abi Talib did. He says that, you know which way ancestry flows? Upwards. Which way inheritance flows? Downwards. When you read Ziyarat-e-Warisa, which way is inheritance flowing? Downwards. Imam refers in his last will and testament to that, no, this is where I come from. I am holding on to the mission of the prophets. That's who I am. So the mission of Adam alayhi salam, of Isa, of Musa, of Yunus, any one of those prophets is the same mission that Imam Hussain has, which is exactly what he said, is to promote good and stand against evil. And the reason we are special and we were named as the best nation in the world is because we stand for that. You may not believe it, you may not see it, but this is exactly who you are. This is exactly what you have been doing for 1400 years. The reason we lack confidence in that sometimes is because enemies of Islam want you to believe that. They want you to be a nobody. They want you to be a non-entity. They know who you are. They want you to think low of yourself when Allah is telling you you're the best nation in the world. Who are you to disagree with Allah? Make sense? Does it make sense to you? So never challenge that. Think that yes, this is something that has been, this responsibility has been given to us to lead the world in every way possible, in the best way possible, in accordance with Quran. That's what we live for. That's the mission of our lives. That's what our goal structure should be in life. Salawat. The proof is very clear. We don't surrender. That's it. Karbala showed that. No matter what happens, we don't surrender to evil. You can take 72 and kill them. You can put chains and take away each other's. No matter what you do, we don't surrender to evil. That's not who we are. And I'll show you, I'll give you several examples. In a few minutes, you will know today, from today. And you will know that why you're so important. So Bibi Zainab, and I was just talking about this to a brother before Majlis started, that Bibi Zainab gives in one sentence, captures the essence of why you are the best nation. Imagine the scenario. Bibi Zainab standing in Yazid's palace, and heads are raised on spears. Whose heads? Her children, her brother, right? Her nephews, her family, raised on there. Hands tied. Is she scared? Is she frightened? And this Yazid, so-called caliph who's sitting over there, and he says to her something, and these words are, Zainab, how did you find the way Allah treated your brother and your family? And these words, Bibi Zainab's answer, I saw nothing but beauty. That captures the essence of who you are. You don't surrender. You're not scared. You're not frightened. No matter how big of a tragedy is inflicted upon you, you don't surrender. Can you imagine the depth of that answer? That, you know what Yazid was trying to do. He in that one question, he would have destroyed Islam if there was anyone other than Bibi Zainab who would have answered that question. In that one question, that question is probably the most dangerous question ever asked in the history of Islam. And Bibi answered it in such a beautiful way. I see nothing but beauty. Can you imagine the power of that answer? And what would it take? That's why we follow Ahlul Bayt. That's why we love Ahlul Bayt. That's why we try to understand their marifat. No one can provide better answers than Ahlul Bayt. And we hope that other people, other Muslims who have forgotten Ahlul Bayt can start learning about them. Talk to your friends who don't belong to our sect. Tell them, show them, bring them in a little bit about Ahlul Bayt. Tell them who Ahlul Bayt are. Someone in a group that I am part of, it's about 100 plus. I think it's all C-level executives there's a group, and a lot of people in there. Another brother here is also part of it, Jawad Khan. And today, or yesterday, someone sends this Happy New Year message. Happy New Year. Muharram started, right? Happy New Year. Just like the ordinary as solar year comes to an end December 31st. Now, it's all Muslim groups, all Muslims in that, C-level executives. So I took that opportunity to explain to him at that group that don't make that assumption. There are both Shias and Sunnis who mourn when the month of Muharram starts. And this is insensitive to say something like that. And I hope that he understood. But it's through these interactions, politely, respectfully, invite them in, let them see what it means to love Ahlul Bayt, because they have forgotten. They have forgotten. I'll give you some examples that I think you would be, you would really see the point that I am making. So what percentage of Shias are in the global Muslim population? Any answers here? Any guess? 10%, right? That's what we're told, 10%. Or 10%. What is your percentage as far as the world is concerned? You have more weight over the 90%. When you think about that, anytime Islam comes up, they say Shias and Sunnis. Anytime Islam is brought up, Shias and Sunnis, you're only 10%, but the perception is that you are much more than 10%. Why? Because of Azadari. Because you are the face of Islam. No one worries about 90% because, unfortunately, they have learned to surrender. You have not learned to surrender. You can never surrender. Easy examples. We don't have to go far. 90%. They say we will advance by opening a bar on this side and a mosque on this side. They call that advancement. What do you say? You say, we have a mosque on this side, another mosque on this side. The first one is known as Shrine of Hussain. The second one is known as Shrine of Abbas. And 20 million people go there on one day. That's what you are. They say, progress. We're making progress by organizing concerts in our countries. You say, we're making progress by holding majalis in our country. See the difference? See the contrast between you and others? This is what Ahlul Bayt does to you. That's what it means that when awakening comes, why you were chosen to be the best nation. They say Muhammad was. You say Muhammad is. Come to our majalis and see. We will introduce you to Muhammad. We will introduce you to Fatima. We will introduce you to Ali, Hassan, Hussein. Why? Because the cognitive distance in terms of time is not even 14 seconds for you. It's 1400 years for them. Right? When you think about Makkah, when you think about Medina, when you think about Karbala, these majalis, they bring all of these things to life. You have a zero distance, time distance between you and whatever happened in Karbala and Medina and Makkah, because you can live through it through Azadari. Azadari helps you live through that every moment. You know, it's the most powerful institution ever created, I believe, in the history of human civilization. So we should respect it in every way possible, even to the point of science and technology. They say the 90%, I mean, if you look at the approach that exists, is give it to us as charity. What do you say? You say, we own the city of knowledge and the gateway to knowledge. We will create our own science and technology. That's what's happening today. You own the city of knowledge, Prophet, and the gate of knowledge, Imam Ali alayhi salam. Muhammad wa alayhi. That reminds me that tomorrow's majlis is, and since we're talking about knowledge, is on education. I think it will be a very powerful introduction to certain things that are important for our community to understand. So, and I do have a bit of a homework for those people who are interested in learning about this and would come tomorrow. So has anyone heard of a word known as agnotology? A-G-N-O-T-O-L-O-G-Y. Agnotology. That is, if you have not heard that word, go research on that, do some research on that tonight and for the majlis tomorrow. The second homework assignment is very simple. It's simply search that which country produces the largest number of engineers. See the third entry in that, whatever comes up, and also look at what percentage of that are women. Just these two homework assignments. Tomorrow, inshallah, we will talk about education. Salawat, please. Azadari is a very sophisticated system of protecting Islam. After the day of Ashura, Bibi Zainab and Hazrat Zainul Abidin, this is the opening scene of Azadari. They are putting together a very, very sophisticated plan. It's so sophisticated that today, if Islam survives, it's because of Azadari. It's very sophisticated, and I'll share those details with you. But first, I have to clarify something. That Bibi Zainab, her first khutbah that she gives in Kufa, that's right after the Karbala events that happen, and she says something. Her first words are, and Ahlul Bayt, when they start, they say these things like Allah says that La ilaha illallah, things start with La. So it starts with what's not before they focus on what is. So Bibi says the following words. Now, people of Kufa, people of deceit and disloyalty, are you weeping? Your tears may never stop flowing. Your affair is like the affair of that woman who unweaved whatever she had woven. You always make your oaths a medium to make money. Are you weeping and crying out from your hearts? Bibi is clarifying to us that it's not tears only that she's seeking. She wants tears that come with sincerity and that come with a commitment to defend Islam. She has made it very clear. She says that, are you crying? You're shedding tears now? Very important point to understand. What does that weaving and unweaving statement means? It refers to an idiom that comes from Hijaz area, where there was a woman whose husband went to a war, and he had not returned for a very long time. So people were telling her to get married again. And she believed that her husband will come back eventually, and she didn't want to get married to anyone else. So the more pressure came on her, finally she said that, okay, I will start weaving this rug, carpet, and when I finish that, then I will marry someone. So people now came, and every day they would check on her that how finished the carpet is. And what she would do is she will start weaving the carpet during the daytime, and so that everyone feels that she's doing that. But at nighttime, she would unweave it, and so that it never really finished. So that's where it comes from. This means deception. That's what Bibi Zainab is referring to, that you're deceiving me. You're putting me in this cycle of commitment when you are really not committed. So this deceptive cycle. So it's important to understand what that statement meant. And so after that, they started integrating Islam, practices of Islam, and Ahlul Bayt with human experience in terms of narratives, in terms of poetry, in terms of art, in terms of things that people were discussing. All of that became a system through which Islam was embedded in rich human experience. Now enemies cannot do anything to Islam. Islam was secure. Why? Because it was now integrated, it was now inserted into rich human experience. And the emotional part of Azadari is a very important point, because that's what keeps memories alive. If someone asks you, for those people who are alive then at that point, that, you know, where were you when 9/11 happened? I'm sure you would remember that, because it was a deep experience. That's what Azadari is doing. Rich human experience. Think about it, that how Azadari is delivered. It's delivered. What are the five senses, right? Visual, sound, smell, taste, touch. Azadari is brought to you by these things. You see the visual symbols? Alams, colorful visual symbols. These that you see here. Sounds of matam, sounds of noha, sounds of majalis. Taste, I can ask you to close your eyes and imagine the taste of Muharram and Majlis. You would remember the food that's served as tabarruk. Smell, I ask you to close your eyes, you will remember what it smells like to be in a majlis. And touch, now you know why I do ziyarat. When we touch objects, touch, all five senses are invoked in Azadari. All five senses. Rich human experience. Why? Because now Islam is embedded. Now human art is coming out. Poetry, drama, paintings, art, everything, calligraphy is why? Because now enemies cannot destroy anything. Even today, what are you going to destroy? You destroy taziyas, alams would rise. You destroy alams, noha will rise. You destroy noha, majlis will rise. It's just impossible now. So enemies cannot touch Azadari, cannot touch Islam, because Azadari is protecting. Azadari is the protective shield of Islam. And that's why There's so much wisdom and design went into its making. Today, you're consuming this service. If Azadari can be considered as a service, you're consuming this after 1,350 years or so. And you're consuming it exactly how Bibi and Imam wanted you to consume this. See, nothing changed. Powerful part, nothing changed. Still, we cry for Imam Hussain as if this happened yesterday. Why? The power of Azadari. And as long as this Azadari exists, Islam will stay, inshallah, because you are the one, the best nation. It's your responsibility to maintain this. Salawat. So just last 2 points, and then we move to, I think we have about 10 more minutes. So last 2 points, and then we move to Masaib. First point is about, again, Azadari as a mechanism of spreading Islam. If Hajj is a mechanism of bringing the world to a central point of Islam, Azadari is the system to take Islam to the rest of the world, everywhere. It's the opposite of what's happening at Hajj. Hajj brings everyone together. Importance of that. Azadari takes Islam and spreads it all over the world. Today, everywhere, all over the world, go to any country and you will see Azadari. That's why, and you're only 10%. You're only 10%. How many majalis do you think happen in a year? 150 million, I estimate. Approximately 150 million majalis. Which community produces more books? Which community produces more Quran analysis? Every majlis starts with a Quran ayat. 10%. Which community has a solid grip on Usul-e-Din and Furu-e-Din? There are others who can't even tell the difference between these two, right? Which community produces the best ulama, or Maraja and other ulama? Great people and standards of ulama also. They have rigorous educational standards. Which community was never, ever, enemies were successful to use for terrorism, even though terrorism happened against them? Your community, our community, thanks to Azadari. This is what our strength is. This is who we are. If Majlis was considered as a seminar, this is the most offered seminar in the world, 150 million times a year. Salawat. The last point is, and this is the closing statement for all of you. Islam comes with a sticker on the front door of Islam. And that sticker says, protected by Azadari. Muslims all over the world, rest assured, Islam stays protected because the sons and daughters of Imam Hussain are protecting Islam. And enemies, beware. Islam stays protected. That is a very important point to remember, and that's why you were chosen to be the best nation. As long as you hold on to Imam Hussain and understand the ideology of Imam Hussain, no one can touch Islam. Allahumma Mu'mineen, Azadars, let's pray that Bibi's gift to us, this Azadari, and our tears always stay with us throughout our lives. In fact, the last thing that we do in our lives, the last thing that we undertake in our lives, let's pray, it's shedding tears for Imam Hussain. Tears are our weapon. Tears are our weapon. The name of Imam Hussain should be enough to bring tears in our eyes. Sometimes we feel that we have to go beyond just saying this name to bring tears to our eyes. No. And I remember this. I watched this with my own eyes. I will share this with you. It changed me. It changed my own personal understanding. I was in Najaf and I was at Imam Ali's shrine. And you know how kids play there. So there were some kids who were speaking Arabic. I assume they were from Karbala, playing small, 8, 9, 10 years old, this age group, maybe 10, 12. And they were playing there. And then a majlis starts, was in Persian. So these are Arabic-speaking kids. The majlis is in Persian. These kids continue playing and they were talking to each other in Arabic, and I'm observing that because I was standing on one side, I could see them and the majlis. Then the majlis changes. Majlis goes to Masaib. Now the speaker starts reading Masaib. These kids who probably don't understand Persian, now they stop playing. Now they start listening to majlis. Their hands go on their chest, and you can see tears in their eyes. Changed. Just the name of Hussain was enough to get them teary-eyed. Azadars, pay attention to the sorrow, to the tragedy that we talk about. Today is 2nd of Muharram. This is the day when Imam arrives in Karbala. The most heart-wrenching statement I am about to make, and I hope that you have the strength to bear that. The statement is, today's date is characterized not by what was absent, but what was present. Abbas was present. Ali Akbar was present. Sakina had her father. Rabab had her baby with her. Children were playing. Camp had security. Babies had chadars. Families had tents. And there was water. And there was water. Few days would be after this will be characterized by what was absent. See the difference? Few days after that. When the calls of Al-Atash will start coming, this is your Imam who sees Hur coming with 1,000 people army. Imam Hussain sees that army and says to Abbas, Abbas, these people are thirsty. Give them water. These people are thirsty. Give them water. May Allah accept our tears. This is the only way to shafaat. I believe it. I firmly believe it. Then Imam, as people start drinking, Hazrat Abbas gives water. Imam looks at the army and then say, Abbas, not just people, animals are thirsty also, give them water. This is your Imam. This is your Imam. Now, since we talked about Imam Zainul Abidin, I want to give you one incident. Again, it's about tears and crying. And then, inshallah, we bring the majlis to the conclusion. Imam Zainul Abidin stopped going to weddings after Ashura. He didn't go to weddings. A person, and I heard this tradition from an alim, a person comes to Imam and says, Imam Zainul Abidin, Mawla, my brother's wedding is happening. Mawla, please attend. Imam says, okay. When he insisted, Imam said, okay, I will attend. But would you be able to have a majlis for my brother Ali Akbar? That person said, yes, Mawla. Just come. I will have majlis for Ali Akbar, for my brother, for your brother Ali Akbar. Imam goes. That person lives up to his promise. He holds a majlis over there. Imam tells him, can you dim the lights? The person says, Imam, why do you want lights dimmed? And Imam said that I want people to cry louder so that no one is embarrassed. There should be no embarrassment for crying for Hussein. These masaib are part of who we are. They come from our hearts. These tears come from our hearts as Bibi wanted them to be. Exactly. Azadar, this is who you are. When candles were lit back again, Imam was not there. This person said, where did Imam go? And then they see he's standing at the exit door where guests were sitting. The person goes, Imam, what are you doing here? And Imam says, these were your guests, but they majlis. They cried, they shed tears for my brother Ali Akbar. Now these are my guests. I will say farewell to them. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Matame Hussain.
Ya Hussain, 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 तुम्हें करबला बुलाती है, चलो हुसैन तुम्हें करबला बुलाती है, चलो हुसैन तुम्हें करबला बुलाती है, चलो हुसैन तुम्हें करबला बुलाती है, चलो
सब मिलके पढ़ना नाम है मौला।
तुम्हें کربلا بلاتی ہے، چلو حسین تمہیں کربلا بلاتی ہے، چلو حسین تمہیں کربلا بلاتی ہے، صدائے فاطمہ زہرا لحد سے آتی ہے، چلو حسین تمہیں کربلا بلاتی ہے، چلو حسین تمہیں کربلا بلاتی ہے، چلو حسین تمہیں کربلا بلاتی ہے، صدائے فاطمہ زہرا لحد سے آتی ہے، چلو حسین تمہیں کربلا بلاتی ہے، چلو حسین تمہیں کربلا بلاتی ہے، چلو حسین تمہیں کربلا بلاتی ہے، طواف کرتا تھا جس گھر کا خانہ کعبہ، طواف کرتا تھا جس گھر کا خانہ کعبہ، کہ حاجیوں کی جماعت وہ گھر جلاتی ہے، چلو حسین تمہیں کربلا بلاتی ہے، چلو حسین تمہیں کربلا بلاتی ہے، چلو حسین تمہیں کربلا بلاتی ہے، طواف کرتا تھا جس گھر کا خانہ کعبہ، طواف کرتا تھا جس گھر کا خانہ کعبہ، کہ حاجیوں کی جماعت وہ گھر جلاتی ہے، چلو حسین تمہیں کربلا بلاتی ہے، چلو حسین تمہیں کربلا بلاتی ہے، چلو حسین تمہیں کربلا بلاتی ہے، قدم حسین اٹھاتے ہیں سوئے کرب و بلا، قدم حسین اٹھاتے ہیں سوئے کرب و بلا، قدم سے لپٹی ہوئی کائنات جاتی ہے، چلو حسین تمہیں کربلا بلاتی ہے، چلو حسین تمہیں کربلا بلاتی ہے، چلو حسین تمہیں کربلا بلاتی ہے، قدم حسین اٹھاتے ہیں سوئے کرب و بلا، قدم حسین اٹھاتے ہیں سوئے کرب و بلا، قدم سے لپٹی ہوئی کائنات جاتی ہے، چلو حسین تمہیں کربلا بلاتی ہے، چلو حسین تمہیں کربلا بلاتی ہے، چلو حسین تمہیں کربلا بلاتی ہے، صدائے فاطمہ زہرا لحد سے آتی ہے، چلو حسین تمہیں کربلا بلاتی ہے، چلو حسین تمہیں کربلا بلاتی ہے، چلو حسین تمہیں کربلا بلاتی ہے، خبر ہے شام غریباں تیرے اندھیرے کو، خبر ہے شام غریباں تیرے اندھیرے کو، نہ کربلا بلاتی ہے، چلو حسین تمہیں کربلا بلاتی ہے، چلو حسین تمہیں کربلا بلاتی ہے، خبر ہے شام غریباں تیرے اندھیرے کو، خبر ہے شام غریباں تیرے اندھیرے کو، نبی کے روزے پہ زہرا دیے جلاتی ہے، چلو حسین تمہیں کربلا بلاتی ہے، چلو حسین تمہیں کربلا بلاتی ہے، چلو حسین تمہیں کربلا بلاتی ہے، نوید کیا ہوا لبیک تم کیوں نہیں کہتے، نوید کیا ہوا لبیک تم کیوں نہیں کہتے، صدا تو دشت سے حلبے کی اب بھی آتی ہے، چلو حسین تمہیں کربلا بلاتی ہے، چلو حسین تمہیں کربلا بلاتی ہے، سادہ فاطمہ زہرا لحد سے آتی ہے، چلو حسین تمہیں کربلا بلاتی ہے، چلو حسین تمہیں کربلا بلاتی ہے،
السلام علیکم ابا عبداللہ، السلام علیکم ابن رسول اللہ، السلام علیکم ابن امیر المومنین، ابن سید الوسیین، السلام علیکم ابن فاطمۃ الزہراء سید نساء العالمین، السلام علیکم رحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ، السلام علیکم یا غریب الغربا، السلام علیکم معین الضعفاء الفقراء، السلام علیکم شمس الشموس انیس النفوس ای المدفون بالزیتوس، السلام علیکم ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ، السلام علیکم صاحب العصر الزمان، خلیفۃ الرحمن، مظہر الایمان، شریک القرآن، اجل اللہ تعالیٰ فرجک وسہل اللہ تعالیٰ مخرجک ظہورک ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ، السلام علیکم ابو الفضل العباس ابن